Gute Woche. We are only 24 hours, 23 hours away from the historical Siyum. Unreal. Tonight's shir is being sponsored last minute in the merit of Menachem Mendel ben Simcha, a refuah shlema for my Rebbe, Tzvi Yosef ben Bela and his family. They should be well in social Kalman. I'm already starting hearing excuses. I can't host a siyum. I have COVID, shmovid. You guys can read this one. It might be a hoax. I don't know. I was asked to put this a sponsor. This is a sponsor with a blank piece of paper. Maybe they're trying to do some shtick later on, like superimpose something. I don't know. But if yes, I'm calling it out right now. I don't know why somebody would sponsor a blank piece of paper. It beats me, but hey, it fits right in. What do we have here today? So first we have Kalman's email here. This is because my printer is broken. I'm going A3 on everything. I know it's Shabbos by you, but I have bad news, which is why I'm sponsoring. First, thank you for the refuah for Liora. Now 7 for 7. I need 8 for 8. Please, my Rebbe just got sick, has COVID. What does he want? That he shouldn't have COVID anymore? What are we supposed to do? I'm not sure. The Olam should daven for his Rebbe. The announcement just went out a few hours ago. It's 4 p.m. in New York. As he davened at the house last Shabbos, sat right next to him during Shal Shudas, and then another shir, also davened to him. Bekitzer, he has to go into quarantine, Kalman. Which means I can't go to shul or daven be at the siyum, but not to worry. Binyamin has everything completely under control in the 5 towns. I met with him last week. I called him on the phone as soon as I heard about an hour ago. He's awesome. Love this guy. Please also put in a good word for me. I can't have COVID. I have people in my house that are really at risk. Blah, blah. I'm feeling 100%, so not sure. You can put refuah, but my name is Kalman Nassan ben Menachem Mendel for refuah. For refuah bichaya. All right. His daughter's surgery, Baruch Hashem, was unbelievable, successful. 8 for 8, please. Put in a word for me. Good Shabbos, good Vach. I'll see you on Zoom Sunday. Kalman, 5 towns. One short one over here. Before we do a beautiful sugya, Eruvin sugya, from Yossi Feintuch. Dear Rav Eli Stefansky Shlita Shalom, my name is Yossi Feintuch, grade 10, young kid, Toronto, Canada. My grandfather listens to your live shir at 2:15 Eastern Standard. He doesn't say who his grandfather is. I don't know. I don't recognize the Feintuch, but maybe his grandfather is Jay Spitzer. I don't know. My grandfather listens to your live shir, and I get so much out of doing Chazar with the 8-minute daf, a great hisayrus. The Rav deserves those ads on the buses. I'm not sure. Did he chap that I don't like it? Is he trying to shtach? The ads on the buses, Rabbi side, the ads on the buses are the worst. The worst. They still run around right in front of my house till this very day. Big giant picture of me. And I wouldn't care if people knew that I didn't put it on. I care that people think. It makes sense, right? That I would advertise my own face on a bus. Today my grandfather, no, seriously, that's what people think, and it really is up my alley, but no, I don't stoop that low. Only Yeshiva World News, but not buses. It's different. Today my grandfather and I were in the car listening to your YouTube shir as we just left Yarchikal in Lakewood, heading back home to Toronto. Every year we learn a new sugi biyun. This year we did Brachas Daf Mem Aleph. Oh, I forgot to tell you that the name of this email is Hashgacha Pratis. So what's Hashgacha Pratis? That he was learning Brachas Daf Mem Aleph while we were learning Eruvin Daf Daled. And we said that's exactly a year apart, and it's the same exact sugi and he was learning that sugi. That's what he was learning, Yarchikal. 2 weeks of 10 plus hours a day learning with a Maggid Shir for an hour and a half. It's so fantastic to see that Hashgacha Pratis that Hashem puts in your life. Today was the same. Isn't that beautiful? Even the Rav was excited really back a year and a half ago. Sent from, I love this, sent from my Yeshiva kosher phone. Baruch Hashem. Keep steiging. Yashir Koyach. All right. Gewaldig Yossi Feintuch from Toronto. So, here we go. We are holding on Daf Yomi the Beis, all the way in the bottom. Last line. Today's Daf Vov. Omar Rav Chonin bar Rov Omar Rav, says Rav. Mavoi shenifras mitzidoi be'eser. Oh.
Ellie,
Yes.
you want to do a shtickle chazara about what the schedule is tomorrow?
Oh, thanks for reminding me. Okay. Who's that? Who's talking? Avi?
We're gonna get you some more buses, by the way. Just letting you know that.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna send you the.
Okay, you know what the revenge is. You know what the revenge is. It's up to you. Hey, I did it for one day on Purim. I'll do it for the whole year. I'll do it on buses. I'll have sponsors. I'll have buses around the world in 10 days. You'll see. You'll be the famous Avi Kamiansky from the hair transplant. I'll have your phone number listed as free hair transplants. First 400 callers free. All over CBS News. All right, anyway, listen. This is how it's working. Rabbi side, I forgot to mention the Siyum. We're doing a Siyum tomorrow. Unbelievable, historic. First of all, first thing you need to know is take your names off the Zoom as it is. Please learn how to do that. Instead of your name, first of all, if you're going to a place, great, have the host change your name to Lakewood, to Muncie, to RBS, to whatever. Take your names out. Your names are not important tomorrow. It's the locations that we want to see on the thing. And if you don't change your name, we're going to throw you off the Zoom. You better be careful. Tomorrow we start at 8 o'clock Israel time. And we are going to start, I don't have the exact schedule, but something like, we're going to show like 15, 20 minutes of videos sent in by different people. It's exciting stuff because you get to learn who these people are. You get to know the whole point of the Siyum is the camaraderie. You get to know the Olam, get to see different people, the Hasidim and the modern Orthodox and the guys with the guitars, the guys in the bathing suits, and the different people sending in videos from different places, Geschmack stuff. That's that. Then we're going to have somewhere along the line, we're going to have Charlie Harari. We're going to have a Siyum first. So the actual Siyum. Hopefully the guy that sponsored the Siyum, he'll do the Siyum. He's fighting with us. Avi, you have any word on that? Is he going to say it?
Yeah, I told you. He gave a thumbs up. He's going to do it.
He's going to do it. Okay, great. So he'll do it. And Nachman Seltzer is emceeing the whole thing. We're going to introduce, the first speaker happens to be Leon Welcher from South Africa. He'll speak for 2 minutes, and then we're going to show a video clip that he sponsored and he did, and all on his own, clips from different shiurim stuff, whatever, it's cool stuff. That's like 15 minutes. And then we get to see more people, live people, another live one. There's only 6 or 7 live 2-minute speeches. That's it. The rest are all pre-recorded, Baruch Hashem, so we have that under control and wrapped. So it's going to be like 20 minutes of speeches, then Charlie Harari. 20 minutes of speeches, then Rabbi Sachar Fran. 20 minutes, like that. We'll just break it up. And that's the evening. At the end, that's it. I don't know. That's pretty much it. Anything else you want to tell?
Is there any Oprah giveaways or anything?
It remains to be seen. No. The whole thing is just camaraderie, it's just geschmack, hearing a bunch of people. And the good thing is that these speeches are very short. Every speech is short. Even our featured speakers, one is 10 minutes and one is 15 minutes. So it's all like dang. If you don't like it, you want to go weiter, you go weiter, you go to sleep. If you're bored, you can watch the rest on YouTube the next day. Zog the Gemara, Omarav, Chonan Barov, Omarav. And we'll come out with the official schedule, don't worry, you'll have it right before the Siyum Be'ezer Hashem. Now, they're working on it right now. Noam and I forgot, I think Gary's supposed to meet with him soon and just come up with the official schedule. Omarav, Chonan Barov, Omarav. Mavoi shenifratz mitzidoi be'eser, miroishoi ba'arba. So it goes like this. Here's your mavoi. Going back to the larger pages, just for now, until I get a new printer. Here's the mavoi. Here's the opening to the mavoi. If it's on the side, mitzidoi, then the gap that passes this mavoi, says Rav, 10 amos, about 20 feet. Provided that there's a piece right over here. You see this piece? There's a nice piece right over here, this piece. This piece is 4 tfachim. If you have this 4 tfachim, that's the sugya we had the other day, then this could be all the way to 10 amos. I don't care that people go through it and make a shortcut. That doesn't bother me right now. Because since this is 4 tfachim right over here, so this kaira is a kosher kaira for a mavi that's 4 tfachim. Because we said the minimum of a mavi is 4 tfachim. So it does its job, so the kaira works for the entire mavui, the whole thing. What about if the breach is on this wall right over here, on the opening of the mavui? Explains Rashi. What happened was that the mavui was 20 amas wide. So what he did was he built a wall that's 10 amas. And in the 10 amma wall, there's a breach. Barba. Over there, only 4 tfachim ruins the whole thing because it's at the opening of the mavi. So at the opening of the mavi, 4 tfachim. Tfachim. What is 4 tfachim? A foot? I don't even know. And over here on the side, you go all the way to 20 feet. 20 times the amount, let's say. So the difference is huge. The side you could get away with a lot more than the front. Says the Gemara, Maishna. The Gemara goes away from this immediately. Maishna, what's the difference? The side and the front. Maishna mitzide be'esed omar pischahu miroishoi miroishinami name pischahu. You tell me it's an opening. Openings, by the way, are not bad for us. Non-openings are really bad. A mavi is allowed to have different doors, different stuff, as long as the main entryway, you show a kaira, you show a lechi. So, what's the difference? If there's an opening up to 10, by the way, I have a riddle for everybody. Look into your Gemara. I want to make you work a little bit, because it's not fair that I should work and break my head. So here's the riddle. There's a little Tosfos, tiny Tosfos, 10 words. I want you to read the Tosfos and explain to me what Tosfos says. Here. The second Tosfos, Mitzidoi be'eser meroishoi ba'arba. The top line of the Gemara, there's a little Tosfos. What in the world is Tosfos saying here? So I'll read it. Mitzidoi be'eser meroishoi ba'arba. Eser ain't pirushoi ka'arba. The eser kishel mata. V'arba kishel mala. Sounds like Zohar to me. 10 is like mata, arba kishel mala. What in the world? What Tosfos is saying is very simple. 10 is not like 4. 10 is like downwards. What Tosfos really should have said is that, basically Tosfos is talking about like an ad va'ad b'chlal kind of thing. And Tosfos is saying that when the Gemara says 10, it means that it's kosher, like 9. Like less than 10. 10 is like mata, like 9. 4 is like 5. 4 is puzzle like 5. That's all Tosfos wants to say. But it's a nice little riddle. Why does Tosfos talk in such language? Just to make us confused, and you have to sit. I'm sitting and looking at this Tosfos. It took me a good few seconds here. More. Again, Eser ein pirusha k'arba. When you say the word 10, in this Gemara at least, it's not like 4. The Eser kishel mata, 10 means that it's kosher, like less than 10, like mata, below 10, like 9, which is kosher. V'arba kishel mala. This Tosfos will come into use actually later on in the Gemara. Fine. And when the Gemara says arba, that's already possible, that's bad. 4 is bad, it's like 5. Okay. I'll go upon him here. Says the Gemara, so why are you telling me that when it's 4, it's possible? At the opening of the mavui, but on the side wall of the mavui, then 10 is, it's still kosher up to 10 amas. It should just be a little opening, another opening next to the kair. What's the big deal? Because we're dealing with, it wasn't breached on the front wall, it was breached on the corner of the wall. And what's the, so what? The pischa bekeren zav is layavdi. That's not something normal that you would do. So first of all, let me just show you the picture. Here, if there's a breach on the front part of the wall, the havamina was this is no good because it's on the front of the mavui versus the side of the mavui. This one is okay when it's up to 10 amas. This one immediately, a tiny little breach is possible. Says the Gemara, no, we're talking about this kind of breach. This is the problem. The entire corner is missing. We had yesterday, where there's a Karen Zavis, he made it on a corner. Okay, over there is different. He made it on purpose. That's okay. Says the Gemara, Rav Huna Amar. This is important to remember. This Rav Huna, he's gonna accompany us for the rest of the evening. Rav Huna says, Echad zeh ve'echad zeh ba'arba. No matter what, it's always 4 tfachim that makes it possible. You can't get away with this 10 amas. A breach on the side of the mavoi, 4 tfachim. That's it. No 10 amas like the Tanakama. What does Rav Huna say? 4 tfachim. So Rav Huna is telling the one who argues on him. How we started the sugya on Daf Yomi Beis, the last line. Omar Rav Chanan bar Rava, Omar Rav. So says Rav Huna to Rav Chanan bar Rava, it's not true that if you have 10 amos, it's still kosher. Lo tivlag aloi. Don't argue with me. The Rav, your Rebbe that you quoted, Omar Rav Chanan bar Rava, Omar Rav. Don't tell me that your Rebbe said 10 amos, when in fact I was there and I saw your Rebbe paskin 4 tfachim. A gap that's more than 4 tfachim is possible. The Rav, Ikla L'Damcharia. There's a place called Damcharia. V'ovad Ubda Kivasi. And there's a gap, there's a breach in the wall, there was only 4 tfachim. Possible. So how can you tell me that your Rebbe Rav said 10 amos? Omar Lei, so Rav Chanan answers him, Rav Bika Matzah V'Goder Ba Goder. We're going to have this line. It's a nice line in the Gemara in this Masechta a few times. Rav found a valley where it's a mashal. You have a valley and your animals are going to run away. So what do? You make a fence. Rav was in Damcharia, terrible place. Amaratzim over there, they don't know what they're doing. So he had to start making gedarim, he had to start making fences so that they're not over. Damcharia is different. You're right. There was a story in Damcharia and he said 4 tfachim in a mavoi, possible. But in general, he holds you have all the way up to 10 amas in order for it to be possible. A lot more. Why is Damcharia different? Damcharia, a bunch of Amaratzim. Amaratzim, we had this in Shabbos. When you have Amaratzim, you have to be goider. You have to take out your whip, make it harder for them. 4 tfachim, so they start realizing, hey, these halachas, there's this mavoi, there's this. Fine. Says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, I'll prove to you that Rav Huna is right, that a little gap, small gap, of 4 tfachim is what does it all. Why? Deitmar mavoi akum. Oh, you have an L-shaped mavoi. Mavoi akum. Here's a mavoi akum. What do you do when you have an L-shaped mavoi? So, Rav Omar Teirosoi Kimefulash. We mentioned the word mefulash in the Hagdama to the Masechta. Let's go over it again. This, for instance, is a mavoi sasum. It's not 100% clear, but there is a wall. This is a wall. It's not a great wall. If you look closely, you'll see a wall at the end. There's one opening right over here, and it's closed. You have a nice little ches going on here. So what do? You put a lechi, you put a kaira. That's a mavoi sasum. We're talking about mavoi mefulash, similar to what we have in our streets today. There's an opening on top. This is a Rosh Hashanah going through this way. And this black over here with the lanes on the bottom is another Rosh Hashanah. This mefulash right here is through and through. Okay? Mavoi mefulash. I could enter from here and I enter from here. So says the Gemara, when I have, where is that picture? When I have an L shape with 2 openings, you can go into the mavoi over here, and you can go into the mavoi over here. So what do? How do I look at this? How do I view this? Says Rav, Toirasakim mefulash. I view it as 2 mavois that are wide open. Here's one mavoi, it opens, and it has an opening over here. And here's another mavoi. In other words, the bend where the L meets at the bend, that's an opening for both mavois. In addition to that, you have the regular openings. You have 1, 2, and this right over is the opening. It's a complete mavim mefulish. What's the halacha by mavim mefulish? If I have just a regular street, my alley goes through and through. So, like in this case, my mavim mefulish, what do? The halacha is you put a tzuras ha-pesach. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see it well. I don't see it so well. Here. Tzuras ha-pesach. It's like a doorway. There's a kaira on top and 2 beams on the bottom. There's 2 vertical and 1 horizontal. And then also on the other end, you can get away with 1 lechi or 1 kaira. But you need a tzuras ha-pesach on one end and a lechi on the other end. So in our case, when you have 2 mavois that are considered mefulash, they're considered through and through, says Rav, put a tzuras ha-pesach in the center, right over here, tzuras ha-pesach, and over here you put a lechi, so that's 1 mavoi, and this also acts for this mavoi, and I put a lechi right over here at the end. I put a lechi at that end, put a lechi at this end, and a tzuras ha-pesach smack in the center. Simple stuff. Now we're going to want to go back to Rav, because we're dealing with Rav here. Omer Rav Chanan bar Rava, Omer Rav. Rav Chanan said that Rav said that you could do 10 amas. You go up to 10 amas is good. Ravuna. So if you have a L-shaped mavoi, Rav Omer terosik mefulash. So I need a tzuras ha-pesach in the middle and a lechi on each opening. Ushmuel Omar terosik isasum. I view it as a dead end mavoi. So what do you do with a dead end mavoi? 2 pshatim in Rashi. Either all you need is 1 lechi at the main opening, at both openings, and 0 in the center, at the bend, 0 at the bend, or at the bend. Okay? So it looks something like this. Same exact picture, but instead of having a giant tzuras ha-pesach here, tiny little lechi in the corner. Lechi here, and a lechi at the opening. 2 openings, and 1 lechi. That's the second pshat in Rashi. Says the Gemara, okay, here's my proof. What's the case over here with this L shape? If you're going to tell me that there's more than 10 amos, let's say it's this way, some say this way, let's just say over here. The point is that there's 10 amos from side to side. How could Shmuel say that a bend that has 10 amos, more than 10 amos, right? More, because 10, Taisa says more. Eser kilamala. Okay, fine, whatever. 10. We're going to more than 10. Let's call it 10. 10. If the bend has 10, there's an opening of 10. How could Shmuel say at an opening of 10? You just ignore it. You don't put anything at an opening of 10. If it was a regular mavoi, a regular one, like a 1 street with a dead end, and at the dead end there's a giant gap over there, a bulldozer a truck ran through it over Shabbos. So that is a big giant hole that's more than 10 amas. Shmuel admits they have to do something about it. You have to put a tzuras ha-pesach. So now that I have a bend, and this bend is 10 amas wide, so what's the difference? How could he ignore it and say that you don't consider it anything? It's closed. It's not closed. I'm looking at a 10 amma gap here. Elalav beser. So you have to say that it's eser, meaning it's less than 10. Less than 10. And what does Rav hold? That less than 10 is considered wide open. Alma pirtzas mavoi mitzidoy barba'a. Rabbi said there's only 2 measurements. There's only 4 tfachim and 10 amas. There's nothing in between. There's nothing less, there's nothing more. Those are the 2 measurements that we're dealing with it in our sugya. Either it's 4 tfachim or more, or 10 amas, more than 10 amas. So if we're dealing with a mavi that's less than 10 amas, then the only other measurement we're left with is 4 tfachim. And we're dealing with 4 tfachim that Rav says is wide open. It's a gap. 4 tfachim is a gap. Rav says a bent mavoi is like it's wide open. How wide is this mavoi? Less than 10 tefachim, less than 10 amas. Less than 10 amas and 4 tefachim are identical in terms of size. There's only two sizes. One is more than 10 amas and one is 4 tefachim. And if you're telling me it's less than 10 amas, then the only other size available for us right now is 4 tefachim. And in this case of 4 tefachim, Rav says that this mavoi is considered massive gap. You have to do something about it. You have to put a tzuras HaPesach. So you see that Rav holds that 4 tefachim is enough to ruin the mavoi for you. You need to do something about it. You can't get away with it all the way up to 10 amas. 4 tefachim is enough to ruin your mavoi. Not like Rav Chanan said that you could get away with it all the way to 10 amos. Rav Chanan Barava. So what's Rav Chanan Barava going to say? It's a great question. Shani Asam the Kobaki Barabim. So he says, oh, I'll tell you pshat. In this case, where there's a bend, there are many people that walk by here all day long. People are walking by. So this is different than a gap in the middle, a breach in the middle of your wall. In the middle of the wall, people don't really walk. But over here, people are walking. This is a thoroughfare. So a thoroughfare is different. So he's saying in Nu Halacha, if you have a thoroughfare and there's a gap that's 4 tefachim, everybody agrees you have to do something about it. When there's no people walking by, no baki by rabbim, then it could go all the way up to 10 amos. So he just was mechadish a huge chiddush. Then we have to add something called baki barabim. Baki barabim changes everything. If people are constantly moving through this area, so then I no longer go to my 10 amos. Now I use 4 tefachim as my max. 4 tefachim that people walk through, I have to make it tzuras HaPesach. Says Rav, since there's a gap here, you're right, it's less than 10 amos, but there's baki barabim, you have to make it tzuras HaPesach. Michlal, the Rav Huna Sovar, Afagad Delay Baki Barabim. Well, we have a machloikas. We started off the sugi saying a machloikas. Rav Huna says 4 tefachim is the limit. Rav Chanan says 10 amos is a limit. But Rav Chanan just admits that 4 tefachim with people walking through is like 10 amos. You have to do something about it. But he argues on Rav Huna. So where lays the machloikas between Rav Huna and Rav Chanan? Rav Chanan says 4 tefachim and a lot of people, you have to do a tzuras HaPesach. And Rav Huna argues with him. Meaning that Rav Huna says, even no people, you need to do something about it. Think about it. Rav Chanan says you need 10. Rav Chanan admits that 4 plus people equals 10. You have to do something about it. And comes Rav Huna and argues with Rav Chanan. He says, no, always 4. So what do you mean always 4? He should admit that if it's only if people walk through. No. Rav Huna is going to say, even when people don't walk through it, if there's a gap, if there's a breach in my wall that's 4 tefachim, you still need to do something about it. So we have a machlokes between Rav Huna and Rav Chanan. Rav Huna says, without people you have to do something about it, and Rav Chanan says, with people. Even if there's no people. I don't want to confuse anybody, I'll just say quickly. Up until this point, we could say that Rav Huna doesn't argue with Rav Ami or Rav Asi. Because he'll just say that there's a difference if people are walking by or not walking by. But we just established that Rav Huna holds even when people don't walk by, it's still considered a breach in the wall. 4 tefachim is a breach in the wall without people. How come Rav Abi and Rav Asi said 10 amos? How is he going to explain them? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you how he explains it. Hasam de iki gidudei. Hacha de leki gidudei. So, I cheated. I didn't want to print 2 pieces of paper. But basically, the first thing that I was showing, or the second one in the shir, this is gidudei. You see how the wall didn't come down completely? There's still some bricks on the bottom. So that's called gidudei. In other words, it's difficult for people to walk into that gap. They're going to have to climb over 3-4 tefachim worth of bricks. That's normal. You know, when a wall falls down, it's not a clean break. You're going to have some bricks on the bottom. So if there's gidudei, people don't want to walk there. People don't want to walk there, then it's okay to go all the way 10 amos. Then I can have a nice gap of 10 amos because people don't walk there. It's still considered somewhat of a wall. But if there's no wall at all, like in Rav Huda's case, zero wall, it's flush with the street, it's really comfortable to go through, then Rav Huna says 4 tfachim is my limit. So again, we only have 2 shiurim, 4 tfachim or 10 amas. There's nothing in between. Baruch Hashem, it could have really confused us with the third shita. 4 tfachim. So now the Gemara makes an afkamina. Gidudei, no gidudei. If it's flush with the floor, 4 tfachim is my limit. Now if you have that, I have to put a tzuras pesach something. If it's gidudei, it's built up a little bit and I have to climb over it, people don't walk over it, then I can get away with 10 amos. Tana Rabbana. Keitzad ma'arvin derech reshus harabim. The Gemara is going to go away from this really, really quickly. But for the Havamina, how do I make an Eruv smack in middle of Reshus harabim? I like to say Ocean Parkway. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Ocean Parkway is a street that goes from, let's say, Borough Park. It goes much further, but for the Frum community. From Borough Park to Flatbush. You've never seen something like this. If you haven't been there, you know, it's amazing. It's 8 lanes. It's 6 lanes in the center, more. There's turning lanes and all that stuff, but the 6 lanes, plus on the side there's 2 service roads. It's a massive street, and they say that's a Reshus harabim. 600,000 people go through it every day. It's Reshus harabim, and there's buildings and houses on the side. No, it's not a highway. This is, what do you guys call it? A parkway, a highway. This is a regular, in the middle of a city, in the middle of New York, in the middle of Brooklyn. So, massive problem. This causes a lot of controversy. What do you guys, again, you guys, the English guys, it's a controversy. I don't want to confuse myself. In terms of the Eruv. How do you make an Eruv around it? And do you not? Fine. So, says the Gemara, how do you make an Eruv in the middle of Ocean Parkway? Imagine, middle of 8 lanes. I want to make an Eruv. What do? I said, Tzuras HaPesach mikan, v'lechi v'koyer mikan. On one side, I build. I go in the middle of the day. The police are already screaming at me. I don't care. I take a piece of wood, go over 8 lanes, like this. I make a doorway. It's my religion. Don't bother me. And then I take a lechi on the other side. And then I start carrying in the middle of Ocean Parkway. That's what it says in the Gemara. Chananya Omer, Bishama Yoimrim. Says Chananya. So, yeah, I already showed you the picture of what it looks like. We'll see more. So now Hananya just explains what Beisham and Basil say. The only way to get away with it, to actually do it, is with doors. Here's a picture of Reshus harabim. Massive thing. You put a Tzuras HaPesach over here. There's a Tzuras HaPesach. And a flimsy lechi over here. I'm actually liking the smaller papers better. What do you guys think? We'll do a test soon. Tzuras HaPesach and a lechi. Okay, that's that. Says, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have that book, yeah.
You just, instead of doing the printouts, just hold up the pictures.
Yeah, I don't like those pictures. I have better pictures. That's from, I have that in the Masifta also. My Gemara has much better pictures.
Same pictures you're printing, identical.
Which book what are you looking at? This book?
No, this one.
Oh, yeah, okay, I don't have that book. No. No, I don't have that.
I'll bring it to you. You can use it.
But I don't see on my screen. I don't see your thing so well. Is there a difference between his and mine, Rabbi Isai? Anybody see a difference?
Zelda's up.
David Handler says it's not the same. It's too small. It's not coming out clear by you. I don't see it so clear. I hope my pictures look better than that. Okay. Yeah, it would save me a lot of paper and ink. Says the Gemara. So what do? Says Beishamai, you need to make 2 doors. Doors in the front, right over here, and back here, at the end of the mavoi, there's also a set of doors. It's not that the 2 doors over here, doors, but the point is that back here, on both sides of the mavoi, I'm closing it up with doors. Ocean Park was like in Bnei Brak. You know, in Bnei Brak, it's closed off. Shalom Aleichem. You come to Bnei Brak and Shabbos, closed off. And a guy with a stone, about the whatever. Derech Hagav, I just remembered. My father was walking in Bnei Brak when we lived in Bnei Brak for 3 years. They were attacking an American guy, attacking him like with stones and pounding his car. So my father walks over to the guy, and the guy speaks English. He says, "I don't know what's going on. What do they want from me?" So my father says, "What's your name? What's going on?" So he says, "I have a son that lives in Bnei Brak. He's religious. I'm coming to visit him." So my father tells him, "Listen, it's a really bad idea, and so just get out of your car. Leave your car here." My father tells everybody, "Leave him alone. He doesn't know it's flying. He's from America. He's a tourist," and he takes him to our house. This guy was I'm not kidding. He was a rocket scientist, literally a rocket scientist from NASA. And he's very appreciative that my father saved him. Like, they were going to lynch him. They were like, "Hey, Shabbos," and pounding his car with rocks. He drove into Bnei Brak. Nobody's ever seen something like that. And he kept on sending us boxes of stuff about science and rockets and books and T-shirts from NASA for like a year. I don't know what happened to him, but his son was a frum guy in Bnei Brak, and would have been massive bizyonis showing up to his son on Shabbat. Whatever, fine. So if you go to Bnei Brak, you'll see that I don't even know how he got in. He maybe just got out of his car, moved the gate, he thought something's wrong, and he just started driving. You can't get in. Like, there's gates, there's chains, there's all sorts of stuff. So I think that's what it was in those days. So it says if there's das mekan, you could use the Rosh Hashanah. Ukshu yoytze v'nichnas noyel. So Beis Shammai say not only could you have doors, you lock the doors. You close the doors. They have to be closed, locked, closed. Beis Hillel loimrim. Notice what Beis Hillel say. Oise deles mikan. One door on one end. One end of the Rosh Hashanah has a door. V'lechi v'koyer mikan. The other end doesn't need a door. It needs just a lechi or a koyer. Does he say anything about locking? Doesn't say anything about locking. So the Gemara is going to discuss that later on. Lock or not lock? The Gemara is going to say no lock. You don't have to close it. But Akaparim, there's a door, one door. So machlokes is between, according to Chananya, according to Beis Shammai, 2 doors on both sides. According to Beis Hillel, 1 door. As the Gemara, what's going on here? You can make an Eruv in the middle of Rosh Hashanah. V'tanya, Yesr al Kein Omer Rabbi Yehuda. Is that you, Avi? Yeah. Come on in. V'tanya, Yesr al Kein Omer Rabbi Yehuda. I believe you, but for this year I already have it. Okay, we're gonna do a test. Shkoyach, come say hello to everybody. Once you're here, no, keep on going, keep on coming, come in. Yeah, it's like very. Bend down, say hello. Okay.
I'm looking for my son Zevi, who I asked to come over here and schlep this instead of me.
This is your father-in-law. You see, Avi Epstein.
Hey, Dad.
All right. In Harnof, they also have the Sefer. I have this in a digital file. So I used to, whatever, now it's much better. Fine, Yishkoyach, we're going to try this out. Zok the Gemara. Listen to this. Rashi brings the first part, and it goes like this. If you live in Ocean Parkway, and you live on both sides of Ocean Parkway, you have a house on both sides, you have 2 houses, you own 2 houses, you're fortunate enough to own 2 houses. Now that, you built a bridge. You built a bridge that goes over Ocean Parkway. It's the Gemara, I'm not making this up. So you could do something called Pi Tikra Yoyer V'Saisim, says Rabbi Yehuda, and that is the edge of the bridge comes all the way down into Ocean Parkway, into the street, and seals it off. And I could carry between my houses. The whole thing. There's a halachic, we learned it. There's a halacha Meshmesina, one of the halacha Meshmesina. Lavud, good asik. And what was the other one? Doif and Akuma. So, you can do Pi Tikar Yoyer V'Saisim. Here's the picture. Oh, we'll use his. This is not in the book. This is another book. So I have to use this now. So you see, he has houses on both sides. He has a bridge or another house, whatever. And then you take this black thing over here, Pitikra, and you bring it downwards. Okay? Halachically, you bring it down. So now he can carry between his 2 houses, says Rabbi Yehuda. Yes, Rabbi Yehuda. So here comes the Gemara. Now that we know that Rashi, yes, Rabbi Yehuda. In addition to that, says Rabbi Yehuda, another thing. Now we're turning to that Vav on the base. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, Lili Nishmas And returning to that Vav and Bays, sponsored by Shea Greenfield from Green Star Electrical Contracting. In the beginning of Masechet Shabbos, we had this case. Here's what it looks like. Yeah, I want to show you. This is my last printout on Friday before my printer went bye-bye. Here's a smaller picture. You see the Rosh Hashanah and the two kairos. He puts a kair from house to house. Okay, across the Rosh Hashanah. Pay attention because we have to do a little test here. Here's a kaira, there's a small piece of paper. This is a regular A4. This is A3. This is the giant one. And one more. Here's the book. Anybody have to say something? A4. First one, small paper. Good or not good? Good, good. Everybody likes the first one. A lot of people like the first one. The giant paper, good or not good? Bad. Wow. Most people say bad. Book? Bad. Poor Avi. Walked all the way over here. Let's do the book one more time. Here. Book. No? No good. Bad. A4, giant. Too big. And A3. All right, whatever. I think the smaller paper is easier to maneuver around. Fine. Zog the Gemara. So you hear what Rabbi Yehuda is doing here? Yeah?
You have the digital file. You can always share the screen and pop up the digital file.
So that we have to go back to the Beis Medrash and we'll start being normal again. Be'ezer Hashem, one day soon. We'll get a bunch of people that had Corona already, like Gary, and they'll join us in the Beis Medrash. Zog the Gemara. So Rabbi Yehuda says it's crazy. He's saying that I could use a giant street just by putting two kuris or two lechis. Where do I put the lechis, by the way? Not on both sides, but on one side, on both sides of one house. In other words, right here, there's a house, and right here. You put the lechi here and here. Fine. Two lechis or two kairas. I could play ball, I could carry from one house to the other. What are you talking about? Say, Chacham, you cannot make a Eruvin Shusrab. So, going back to what we said before. So this is a question, how do you say that you're going to make Keitzad Ma'arvim Derech Shusrab? The Brisa starts. How do you make an Eruvin Shusrabim? One sheet is you do a Tzuras Pesach on one end, and then the other, and a Lechi on the other end, and then Beishamai, Bisil, two doors, one door. What are you talking about? You can't make an Eruv in Rosh Hashanah. Why are you saying you can make an Eruv in Rosh Hashanah? Says the Gemara. So perhaps, maybe you're right. You can't use a lechi and a kaira. You can't use something flimsy, but you can use doors, like Bisham Yisil say. Yerushalayim ilmolei dal sisen in olis balayla. So Yerushalayim is like a Maveh Mefulash. There's a road that goes right through Yerushalayim. If it didn't have the doors, the gates that locked up at night, you'd be over on carrying Dalad Amos and Rosh Hashanah. But because you have doors, in other words, how many doors do you have? Two. Not this one business. Basil say one door is enough. And the halach is like Basil. Why does it? Rabbi Yochanan argues with Basil that you need two. V'amarula. These gates of Mechayza, ilmalo dalsuiseyen, ninolos, again, dalsuisehen, plural, two doors, chayav amaleyem, mishum, rishus harabim. This doesn't fit in with Basil, who says one door. Omar Rav Yehuda Nupshat, hachik Omar. We don't want to make an Eruv on Ocean Parkway. What do we want to do? We want to make an Eruv an alleyway that leads into Ocean Parkway. The alleyway, the mavui. Of course you can't make a Eruv on Rosh Hashanah. On Kfish Achad, you're going to start making an Eruv. That doesn't work. Just, it's a mavui that goes into, it hits the Rosh Hashanah. And then the Gemara, the Brisa goes into the discussion. The first sheet is you make a Tzuras HaPesach on one end, you make a Lech on the other end. Then comes Hanani and says, according to Bishama, you need 2 doors. According to Bisil, you need 1 door. You just stick that in here. You need to stick it in. Itmar Rav Omar Hilchasa Ketana Kama. That what? All you need is a Tzuras HaPesach and a Lechi. Ushmul Omar Halacha Kechananyos. If you have a Mavim Fulish, you have a wide open Mavim, what do? You either, we have a machlokes, what do? Either the halacha Rav says you put a Tzuras HaPesach on one end and a Lechi on the other end. Shmuel says the halacha is like Chananya, that you need 1 door. What is Chananya? Chananya says 2 things. Chananya brings Beishamai and Beisilel, but obviously we go like Beisilel, and Beisilel hold 1 door and 1 Lechi. Ibaylu. So now we go back to a simple question. Beisilel who say that you need 1 door and a Lechi, do you have to lock that 1 door? Excuse me. Shmuel says you don't have to lock it. In the name of Shmuel, you don't have to lock it. Not only is there a psak, but there's a story that happened. Or I like to say Maisa Shekamataya. But over here it's a Maisa Shahaya. But did he have a uvda of Amar Shmuel? Ain't tzarich lino. It's not just a psak. He actually did it. And there was a story that happened. There was a mavim of foolish, and he said, 1 door, you don't have to lock it. You don't have to close it even. Again, the same question. Omalu tochazi. Hani Abuli, look, come look. Hani Abuli the Narda. There's the gates over there in Narda. The Timonat Palgayu Ba'afro. They're stuck in dirt. A dump truck, these guys come, they don't want to pay their fees. They come, dump the truck right over there, right by the door. So the door is stuck in an open position. You can't close it. Unless you sit there with a shovel for 2 weeks, you're not going to be able to close it. And what happened? Mar Shmuel went in and out. You see, Shmuel didn't care that you cannot physically close it, and it's okay, you don't have to close it. So basically it's more of a heker, of a simon. It's not a physical thing that you lock people in like in Yerushalayim. You don't have to close the door. Omer Rav Kahana, not true. What happened was, the doors weren't in an open position, and Shmuel walked in and out. The doors were in a closed position with a tiny little gap in there that a person could, I don't know how big, but basically they were 90% closed, let's say. There's a little bit of an opening. Shmuel was able to walk in and out, and it was stuck in dirt. But it looked closed. That's why these doors work. But not that they were in an open position and can never be closed. Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman became in charge. He said, listen, get rid of those piles of dirt right now. So what does that tell you? L'chari, you would say, Rav Nachman holds, you have to close it. Says the Gemara, no. Lei mekasav Rav Nachman tzorach linol, loy, kivin deru, uyos linol, avapi she'ein linol. We have throughout Shas, kol haroya lebilah, with a lamed, bilah. If you're able to mix it, we learned in Menachos, if you're able to mix it, you don't have to mix it, but you have to be able to mix it. You have to have enough, your bowl has to be large enough to contain the amount of flour, the sow over there. You should be able to mix it, but you don't have to physically mix it. Over here also, you should be able to close the door, but you don't have to close it. It's not important to close it. You have to be able to close it. So Rav Nachman said, get rid of this dirt. You can't close it if there's dirt there. Once you get rid of the dirt, we're okay. You don't have to close it. Says the Gemara, very interesting case. A new bent mavui, but 2 bends. In other words, it looks exactly like a ches. 2 bends in the mavui. So, not such a great picture. I took a picture of my Gemara, my Mesifta Gemara, or that other book that I showed you guys. but the quality is not great. But what you see here is these are the bends, and if you look closely, there's a door here and a door here in the bend. Okay? And at the end, the entrance, you put a lechi or a kaira. Door, lechi, or kaira, or lechi, kaira. So what's going on here? So what they did is, now we're going to go into a little bit of a sugya of could I be machmer like whoever I want, be makel whoever I want. So what they did was they took the two chumras. They went like Rav l'chumra and like Shmuel l'chumra. So again, we had a whole sugya with the L-shaped mavui that over there Rav holds you have to do something. It's considered wide open. It's foolish. You have to do something. You have to put a tzuras haPesach. What does Shmuel say? You don't have to do anything. According to one pshat and Rashi, 0. According to the second pshat and Rashi, you have to put a tiny little lechi. But you don't have to put a door. You don't have to put a tzuras haPesach. Something small at most, maybe nothing. So they were machmer like Rav, and they said you have to do something. But Rav only says you have to do a tzuras haPesach, a little 2 pieces of wood, flimsy wood, and something on top. But they didn't do that. They did deles. Why? Because in a mavui mefulish, if let's say this is your mavui mefulish, Shmuel holds you have to put a door. But Shmuel doesn't hold that this is a mavui mefulish. Shmuel holds that if it's a bend, it's not a mavui mefulish, it's a mavui sasum. So they took a Rav and they said it's a mavui mefulish. And then they took Shmuel and they said, if it's a mavui mefulish, a tzuras haPesach is not enough, I need a door. They went crazy over here. They went all out. They went with that it is mefulish, but I need Rav for that. And once I have Rav, I'm going to steal Shmuel and say, well, if it's mefulish, I need a door. Is that okay to do? I want to be super machmer like that. Says the Gemara, 2 doors in the bends. Both bends need a door. Chumr de Rav, how do they do like Rav? The Amar Terasik Mefulish. When you have a bend in a mavui, I view it as a complete open mavui, and therefore it requires something, a tzuras haPesach. Oh, Rav, that all I need is a tzuras haPesach. Kishmuel. Then I move over to Shmuel. The Amar halacha kechananya. That the law is like Chananya that says that if I have a mavui mefulish, I go like Beis Hillel that requires 1 door and something else, like a lechi. Oh, but I can't jump on both chasanas. Say like Shmuel that you need a door, but Shmuel himself holds that a bend in a mavui is considered a closed mavui, and I don't need anything, 0. Kirav. Now I'm going to jump to the other chasana and say I hold like Rav. Fine. So I do 2 chumras. As the Gemara, can I do like 2 chumras? We have a brayso that says you should always pass like Beis Hillel. No, it's a contradiction. The Gemara is going to bring it up soon. But it says that according to Beis Shammai, I could do, if I want, I could go like Beis Shammai. Allah is like Beis Hillel, but if I feel like, go like Beis Shammai. You can do whatever he wants. What if he does mikule Beis Shammai, mikule Beis Hillel? He does, it sounds like us. I'll take the biggest kula. Who's the most makel? Okay, I go with him. And today's Beis Shammai, Bikula, I go like Beis Shammai. Tomorrow, Beis Hillel says a kula, I go like Kula. You want to go like Rav Moshe Feinstein? Go like Rav Moshe Feinstein. Be consistent in everything. You want to go to Chazanish, but don't just jump. Oh, Cholastam, I go to Rav Moshe Feinstein. And then this, I go like Chazanish. Doesn't work. So if you do both of those, Russia. 2 kulas, you're Russia. What if you're a super tzaddik? You're shaita. So either a Russia or a shaita. You pick. Ella, so what should you do? Go be consistent. Grab one rabbi and go with him. Chumra, kula, everything. But don't start hopping. Don't be a oiber tzaddik and grab all the chumras of this one and all the chumras of that one. That you're a Russia. The Gemara is going to qualify. It's not so posh. Says the Gemara, but anyway, the Bryce itself seems to be a contradiction. We start off saying, always do with Beis Hillel no matter what. A second later, and then within the same sentence, they say, you always do like Bisil, but if you want to do like Bishami, do like Bishami. Doesn't make sense. Loy Kashi. So we have three Tirutzim. Kan koydem baskel, kan lacher baskel. Later on, we're going to see there's a baskel that came out. A heavenly voice said the halach is always like Bisil. So before the heavenly voice came, before the baskel came, you want to do like Bishami, great. But once the baskel comes out, that's it. We only go like Bisil. Or you could say the pshat is like that the baskel already happened. Okay, let's stop over here. Even though there's a very short Amud Beis. That was the famous Gemara, we had it a bunch of times, we'll mention it again, so it's called Gishmak. Rabbi Yeshua argued with Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer argued with all Chachamim. Rabbi Lezer with the Tanur Achnoi, and Rabbi Lezer, he said, if the halach is like me, the walls of the Yismerish are going to go like this, and the water is going to flow upstream, and finally a baskel said, and everything is, and they didn't agree with him. And then a heavenly voice came and said, halach is like Rabbi Lezer. And they said, Yeshua said, we don't listen to the heavenly voice because he's a yachid and we're the rabbim, and they put him in Cherim. Terrible story, and he died in Cherim, and that whole story. So Rabbi Yeshua is the one that says, we don't listen to baskel. So we hold that the halach is like Beisilo. But Rabbi Yeshua holds, you don't listen to baskel. We only hold like Beisilo because of the baskel. I don't hold like the baskel. So if you want to pick like Bisham, pick like Bisham. We're going to get to the answer tomorrow. How can you do like Bishami and Beisilo, or like, in our case, Rav and Shmuel? Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem. Don't forget to see them. Don't forget to change your names on your. You should start trying it out right now. See if you know how to change your name to your location. Tell your friends to come. It's going to be an historical event. I promise you. L'chaim, a good davach. Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Yisrael Eli Khan. Shalom Aleichem.
Eli, the sponsorship, the blank page, 100% legit. Paid for sponsorship.
But what's the shtick about it? It's very interesting.
He wanted to sponsor, he wanted anonymous. I said, tell me what you want me to print out. He said, a blank piece of paper.
Okay,
That's what he wants.
you just need to know something very important. That this paper came straight from America. And it's very valuable. So it's not just a blank piece of paper. He made me waste a piece of paper. I might have to take it and put it through the printer tomorrow. I can't just throw out a piece of paper from America.
Sounds like something that I would do.
Yosef,
Yeah,
do me a favor. Send to the rabbi the name of my rabbi, please. I tried sending an email, but it doesn't get through there.
dafbrama. I'll type in the email.
I've tried typing an email, it doesn't get, I don't know if he got it or not, but I sent one, and it doesn't get through to him. So what can I do?
Get through.
A good davach, Bissi.
Okay.
And Avram, Shalom Aleichem. Is your son still doing the daf, Avram?
Do another one for me, please. Do me a favor.
Avram, is your son still doing the daf with you?
So what's your point?
A good davach. A good davach.
Will the woman be able to log on to Zoom to be able to view the steer?
It's the same login as Zoom. Same thing. Same login. Yeah, same login, YouTube, same everything.
Are we uploading the Torah anytime?
I don't know. Did you arrange it with Torah anytime?
No, I mean uploading afterwards.
Oh, by the way, Yosef, not to be discussed now, but I just saw there's a whole article in Mishpacha magazine about Rabbi Shwed that did the all daf, and he's like, oh, I'm locking it out. There's so many requests to put the full daf on, but I can only have 10 people.
I'm gonna
chutzpah.
get it on. I'm gonna work on it. He just sent us a video.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So now he's famous.